Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Okay, everybody under the sun now knows that the spot Bitcoin ETFs have been approved by the SEC. A truly historic moment. I think it's like the impact over a prolonged period of time is going to be incredibly profound. But the question that many have right now, and for good reason, I'm as curious as everybody else out there, what happens on day one? Because January 10th, we got the approval. What happens on January 11th when these things actually start trading? Should we be ready for some extreme volatility? Well, look, whether we have extreme volatility January 11th or not, I think it's very fair to assume that we're going to have some serious fireworks in the short term in terms of crypto price action. Frankly, ETF or not, we would. I firmly believe that to be the case. But I know what everybody's wondering. You're wondering, okay, how much money is actually going to flow into this damn thing? And well, damn things, because there are multiple ETFs that were Bitcoin ETFs that were approved, and like over what period of time? And so there are people, some speculating that you're going to have literally on January 11th when these things start trading. Some people are speculating, and I'm not saying I buy into this, that you're going to see the volume for Bitcoin like double. And so there won't be enough Bitcoin pushing price up to an incredible degree right out the gate. Fine, I won't say it's impossible, but I find it highly improbable. And I'll explain why, but I want to share with you perspective from a number of individuals that are actually working in this world. And it's not to take away from any of the excitement. We should be excited. Like 2024 is going to be insane. And I say there's going to be extreme volatility in the short term regardless, and it's going to be an incredible year. That's my anticipation. But, even if it's the case, and my suspicion is correct that the degree to which these Bitcoin ETFs will be profound, if I'm right and it plays out over a span of years and decades, that's still incredible for us. We are so damn early. Do we need it to happen literally on January 11th? Just like, But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, in case you missed my last video, I'll be brief on this since I talked a little bit about it, but as far as whether or not the spot Bitcoin ETF approvals would be a buy the news or a sell the news scenario, as it turns out, it was neither. It's been almost 12 hours since this damn thing launched, so for anybody curious, it is currently 2:13 a.m. Central Time, Thursday, January 11th, 2024. And the word of the approval was at 2:50 p.m. Central Time, so almost 12 hours. Bitcoin didn't do much today. So that is not what anyone was guessing. I didn't see a single human actually predict that the Bitcoin is just basically more or less going to move sideways in a very narrow band in terms of volatility. My bet was that it would be a sell the news event. And it wasn't until January 9th, the day before the approval, that I brought it up on my channel for the first time. I'm not sure what we're going to see the 10th anymore. It kind of got me thinking. I was like, is it going to be a sell the news or a buy the news situation? I was openly asking this question on my channel, and I hadn't had sufficient time to think through it because now the unveiling of the approval, the spot Bitcoin ETFs on the 10th, it was tainted the day before by the fake news, because I'm sure all of you have heard by now, the SEC account on X got hacked and there's a fake approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF, and that actually was a sell the news event. But it seems to me like the market didn't care about some of the biggest news in history, didn't really respond in any meaningful way. And it's been 12 hours now? Interesting. So, will we actually see the fireworks now that the trading's starting today? Well, I'll note, by the way, alts actually did go up a little bit, but again, even that wasn't crazy. XRP got as high as 61 cents. We do see for the first time in a long time that we're not just in greed anymore as far as the crypto fear and greed index is concerned. We are in extreme greed at 76 out of 100, which does mean at some unknown point in the future, we will be in extreme fear yet again. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime soon, but it is an inevitability. Mark my words, it's going to happen. Not to be negative. Like, I'm optimistic for 2024, but I'm just trying to point out these things. They're kind of cyclical, right? But also, just because we finally got to extreme greed, it doesn't mean that we can't be in a sustained level of extreme greed for much of 2024. That certainly can happen. I'm just saying it can't stay there forever. And this, if anything's alarming, this is alarming. You have Jim Kramer. And I'm telling you, inverse Kramer, it's a real thing. Whatever Jim Kramer says, I'm probably just going to take the opposite bet. He's a professional wrong person. He's a person who gets paid a lot of money professionally to just be wrong. It's incredible that this guy has a following. Who takes this guy seriously? 2.1 million followers, famous on a global scale, national television. He's wrong about everything. It's astonishing. And so after the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, he shared this post on X. He wrote, normally you would expect a top in Bitcoin on a sell the news situation. I am not even sure that happens. I saw that, I was like, oh. If Jim Kramer thinks that we might not be seeing a sell the news situation here, like as in Bitcoin price not going down, now I'm concerned. Because he's a professional incorrect person. That's what I can't believe he has the platform that he has. It's impossible, but yeah, here we are. And so the blockchain backer reposted that and said, retrace levels, extreme retail euphoria, and Kramer saying a top won't happen, laughy emoji. Yeah. So look, folks, I'm not pretending to know when we're going to have some massive negative move to the downside, but just be ready for extreme volatility. It's going to come whether it's today or tomorrow, whatever. It's going to be coming here. We're not going to make it through a bull cycle without a massive pullback over 20, over 30%. Historically, history has taught us to expect these things, frankly, right? So I'm thinking that's pretty damn probable. And then we have the new narrative, by the way. Here you can see the blockchain backer wrote, here comes the new speculation wave, and he shared a post by eric.eth on X. He wrote, an ETH ETF approval could come as soon as May. And so the narrative has shifted now that the Bitcoin ETF approval, it's in the bag, we got it. Fantastic, it is a truly historic moment. Now we keep seeing all sorts of articles and commentary on social media about ETH and XRP ETFs getting approved. Now, I will tell you, I'm in the camp of believers that think probably this year, frankly, you're going to see a firm or many firms apply for a spot XRP ETF. I'm just not convinced that it's going to get approved because Kim Jong-Gensler's in charge. If he weren't in charge, different story. But he is in charge. And the reason we got the spot Bitcoin ETF is because he was backed into a legal corner with the SEC losing the Grayscale lawsuit. But that wasn't about, broadly speaking, crypto. That was specifically about Bitcoin. So he can justify not approving any altcoin ETF. And I just don't know why he would. And I would love to be wrong on that, of course. I'm just telling you I'm skeptical because I think that Kim Jong-Gensler is an absolute monster. And then there was also this. Yeah, so let's talk about what might happen today. Because, again, like I said at the outset of the video, there are those people who think that we are going to see massive inflows, crazy volatility, crazy price moves to the upside for Bitcoin and the entire asset class as a result may move in tandem. And then there are those that are taking, a little bit of a more measured approach, which is more in line with what my thinking is on this. But take a look at this. Here's from the block. Spot Bitcoin ETFs have now been approved. What comes next? And there's a portion of this article I want to highlight here. Flows over the next few weeks. All eyes will be on the expected inflows within the first 24 to 48 hours, said Anthony Rousseau, head of brokerage solutions at multi-asset trading platform TradeStation, in a statement. Projections range from substantial to record-breaking, with some envisioning flows in the multiple billions, an unprecedented feat in the ETF realm, Rousseau said. So again, folks, there's no shortage of these types of expectations, rather. If you're on social media, just walk 5 feet, you're going to find it. Hop on crypto media, you're going to find these perspectives. And maybe they're right. I'm not going to outright rule it out. But I would say, like, even if we do have extreme volatility in crypto markets, specifically led by Bitcoin on day one, January 11th, which we're now in technically at the time I'm recording this, even though I haven't gone to bed yet, even if that does happen, it might just be regular market volatility. It might not even necessarily because crazy amount of money is flowing into Bitcoin. You can just have crazy euphoria anyway. And maybe that would even be short-lived because, again, I'm still in the camp that thinks that this matters tremendously over a long period of time. But anyway, piece continues. Rousseau also warned of potentially underestimating long-term implications for the Bitcoin market. Financial institutions have over $100 trillion in assets under management, and a portion of those funds could be allocated to Bitcoin, Rousseau said. It's crucial to recognize that institutions can follow due process and navigate regulatory hoops to incorporate Bitcoin into their investment strategies, a journey that could span several months, Rousseau said. Other experts expect some volatility over the next few days. Spot Bitcoin ETFs are expected to track the underlying Bitcoin, but those ETFs are large and will be having lots of new assets under management investment coming in that first day or two after trading, said Stuart Barton, co-founder at Volatility Shares, in an interview. It is possible that we might see, and this is where it gets wild, check this out. It is possible that we might see the ETFs struggle to get the exposure in the Bitcoin markets, Barton said. We know the Bitcoin market might be $10 to $20 billion a day typically. If $40 to $50 billion poured into these ETFs on day one, it might be difficult for the advisors to get a hold of that amount of Bitcoin. Yeah. So look, at any given moment, most Bitcoin is not available for sale. But if prices get bid up enough, then some Bitcoin that was in cold storage eventually is like, whoever owns that might be like, starting to get a little enticed here. So the question is the demand going to be so high on January 11th that we actually see a dramatic move to the upside specifically because of this? Look, I'm not saying we can't have a crazy day. Maybe we do. I'm not pretending to know. But would it be because these things are actually live? I'm not convinced. In fact, a big question is, are all of the 11 approved applicants actually going to have trading on January 11th today? We actually don't know. We literally don't know. There's a section at the, I don't need to read this whole thing, but this section right here, it's just the case that we don't know for sure. So there is broad expectation. Yes, at least some of them, if not all of them, will be live. And it is possible all 11 could be live on day one, but we don't even know that. So I'm sitting there like, well, we don't even know which of these damn bitches is going to be trading. How are you going to come to some sort of reasonable suspicion as to how much money might be flowing in when you don't even know how many are going to be active and what their connections would be? And where's it going to be flowing in from, right? So it seems like we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, perhaps. And then there was also this. CoinDesk had a similar article. This was titled Bitcoin ETFs, What to Expect on Day One. And they have perspective from, well, a few individuals in the story. One of the individuals that they got perspective from is Robert Mitchnick. Now, Robert Mitchnick, that name might sound familiar to some of you in the XRP community. He worked with Susan Athey back in 2018 to come up with a price model in terms of future prices for Bitcoin and specifically XRP. And numbers were high in terms of what is possible. Not guaranteed and acknowledging risk, but they put a model out there. So if the name sounds familiar, that's probably why. Robert Mitchnick ended up working at Ripple for some period of time. He's now at BlackRock. Susan Athey, who he wrote that paper with, she was on the board at Ripple for a long time, and I'm not sure when she ultimately parted ways. But just wanted to mention the background since I know the name might sound familiar here. But there's a little subheading in this article titled No Immediate Rush. Now, this seems like, to me, the most reasonable level-headed approach in terms of expecting what's going to come as a result of the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. But don't take this as a negative. I think this is fantastic, as I've said many times now, over a span of years and decades. But as far as 2024 is confirmed, this is not a bad thing. Like, more money is literally going to be flowing into Bitcoin specifically, and as a result, crypto markets in 2024 because of this. So it's something. It certainly is something. But I'm just saying, even if this wasn't approved, I still think we would have had. I mean, fine, markets would have freaked out, on January 10th. But I still think we would have had an amazing 2024, even if the spot Bitcoin ETF wasn't approved. So to me, this doesn't ruin anything. It's just kind of the question of, is it reasonable to assume big price action because of the ETF approval on January 11th when it starts trading? That's the big question. And we're hours away from that. Again, now it's 2:25 a.m. Central Time. So anyway, piece reads as follows. David Mann, Franklin Templeton's head of ETF products and capital markets, told CoinDesk in an interview that it was difficult to predict just what inflows might look like in the first few days. While he expects a ton of excitement on day one, he said there may be a more gradual ramp up in interest and investments than people appreciate. So pause. I appreciate it. It might not be what a lot of people want to hear. To me, it's still incredibly exciting, and I think 2024 is going to be awesome sauce anyways. Like, to me, this is not even close to being a negative. Some people may be disappointed with initial flows if we don't see the fireworks, but I won't be. And again, even if we do see the fireworks today, is it because money actually flowed in, or is it because of wild speculation, which you see, it's just commonplace in crypto anyway. So we'll be watching for that. And I'll be happy if I would love, like 12 hours from now, to be making a video highlighting the crazy, unexpected inflows into Bitcoin, ramping up the capital that's flowing into crypto in general. I would love to make that video. All I'm saying is, while I acknowledge it could happen, I just don't find that to be the most probable outcome. That's all I'm saying. That's pretty much it. It could. I don't think that's the most probable. Anyway, piece continues. It wouldn't shock me if ETF users broadly, who are now looking at getting some exposure to Bitcoin within the ETF vehicle, are going to go through their normal review process to make sure that they're comfortable with the ETF, and that often takes time, he said. There may be a pop out of the gate, and that's a quote, but investors may take weeks or months to become comfortable with the Bitcoin ETF vehicle and verify that it is behaving in a way they would be willing to put money into, he said. BlackRock's Mitchnick, that'd be Robert Mitchnick, echoed this point, saying it would be a long journey after the launch for investors. He pointed to wealth advisors as an example, saying they may be part of the largest investment channel for the ETF. Because they have not yet had much exposure to investment vehicles containing Bitcoin, there would be a journey of education before they may allocate funds. There will be suitability conversations between advisors and clients, he said. It's not something that is going to materialize right away out of the gate, and the same thing for institutional investors who hitherto have not really had viable exposure solutions, end quote. Okay, to me that's level-headed as hell. That is just... What are the Utes say now? Based? Is it based AF? Is that what that? Am I using that right? I don't know. I'm a 40-year-old man, dude. Like, what do you want from me? But I think what he's saying makes sense. Yeah. So yes, the implications of this, and again, this is Robert Mitchell now at BlackRock. He thinks it's going to be substantial, and I believe that he believes that, and I believe he's right. It's going to be hard to overstate the degree to which this will be consequential over a long period of time, but in the short term. But that's also why I wanted to deliver the message. If I'm right, that's not some sort of huge negative. 2024, even again without this, I'll say it one more time, I think it's going to be a year of fireworks. Now, of course, there will be major moves to the downside at times. Maybe we get surprised and we have one today. What the hell do I know? I'm a dude on the internet named Moon Lambo, okay? Like, I don't pretend to know, man. I just have confidence that over the long haul, way more money is going to flow in. And now all sorts of people that don't have exposure to this asset class, they can get that actual exposure. And it requires the underlying Bitcoin funds to actually be held. It's not like futures markets where you can just bet on what's going to happen and Bitcoin doesn't have to be purchased. No. The Bitcoin, this is why this matters. It will materially impact the supply and demand dynamics in Bitcoin. That's why this matters. And that's why people are excited about what comes next. Is there going to be an XRP ETF? And I still think there will be at some point in the future. I'm just not convinced that it's going to be happening soon. I'd be surprised if it happens this year. I could see applications coming in this year, but I don't think Kim Jong-Gensler is going to be playing nice. You know what I'm saying? Happy to be wrong, though. Happy to be wrong. So in my opinion, yes, get ready for extreme volatility, but I say that regardless of the Bitcoin ETF. And we're just going to have to sit tight and see what happens. But just in my humble opinion, in the short term, I don't think the ETF is going to do that much, but it's going to be exciting to see what unfolds. And nobody knows for sure. I do acknowledge that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.